If you're thinking about setting up a business in 2026, there are a few key things that I think are absolutely imperative before you start that business. First up, you really want to understand the difference between actually having a job, being self-employed, versus owning a business, because the two are so very different. If you own a business, it's something that you can sell, right? So if you essentially have a job where you're self-employed and you have to turn up, and if you're not there, you go on holidays, you don't make money, that's not a business. So that's the first thing. The next thing you really want to get to understand is, tell me, what problem are you solving? Who are you serving? So simplistically, what if someone else has, for example, a cleaning business? Tell me, there's a stack of cleaners out there. How is your service better? Or are you going to think about niching down into a space where maybe you do commercial cleaning, you don't do residential cleaning, or maybe niche down even further. Maybe you only clean up work sites. Like with all the construction and building that's going around, maybe that's something you do. The next thing I would get very clear on is having really good foundations around your business, especially when it comes to cash. And that's where I got on the board here. This is what I teach in any business, and actually even existing businesses, having different bank accounts where revenue comes in, parking GST aside so you don't spend GST that is not yours. Because essentially, when you collect the GST and do the BAS, right, all that GST money is not yours. Having intention to start with of actually having a profit. Yes, profit is really important. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to worry about profit later. If you do that, it's a bad habit. So I like the idea of getting the habit of actually having cash there, of profit in a bank account. So it's the mentality, the conscious belief of always doing whatever you're doing in business to actually have a profit at the end. But then even like parking a certain amount aside in a bank account, this is just for expenses. So that way you don't spend more than what the business can afford, or really should be spending, which means that then you don't have profit. But then the other thing as well is having an owner's pay account. So basically making sure that only having enough cash in there, the business can only pay you what it can afford. And the biggest trap that a lot of business owners do, whether they're new, existing, is that they have this ambition of having a big wage, but then not bringing the revenue in to serve it. So the business can only afford to pay you what it can afford. Because I'm telling you what, if the business pays you more than what it has, what happens is you stop paying the GST, you stop paying the taxes, like the withholding taxes, because you've put too much from this plate, all these plates, if you look at plates or say bank accounts, into this one here, and then you neglected the taxes one, and you've probably maybe putting too much in there. So that's a few things I would do. I would make sure I have really good accounting software. Xero is really important. Have good software, right? Don't go down this path of, oh, I'm going to get QuickBooks or some other inferior product because I'm going to save a whole lot of money. If you can't afford, say, $600 a year for a Xero subscription, maybe you shouldn't be in business. But there's just a few things I would look at if you're thinking about being in business. Guys, it's about setting some goals, being very clear about what you're doing, and mapping it out. Spend more time setting up the business and planning it than just jumping into it and doing it. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are you doing for 2026? Are you setting up a business? If you are, get in touch.